Ryan Ninness with E470 Public Highway Authority out of Colorado. And he's going to be talking to us today about leaving the flat file behind. Let's give Ryan a warm welcome.
All right. So you have to go easy on me. This is my first time ever speaking at IBTTA, so I ask for your patience. But I do work better under pressure, so if you could turn to the person sitting next to you and say, "This better be good," that would help me out quite a bit. So leaving the flat file behind. So there's a couple pictures here, and this isn't your usual first slide that you'd see at IBTTA. Lotus Notes 1, 2, 3, great application. The A-Team, Michael Jackson Thriller, and a personal terror from my childhood, Cujo. So what all do these four things have in common? They all came out in 1983 with the first introduction of the CSV flat file. That is the same technology we are using today to communicate. This is the 35th anniversary of it. So CSV flat files are any flat files, and you may raise your hand and say, but we use pipe. It doesn't matter. It's all flat files. They have batch processing. It's something that we have to do all at once. It's slow. It can corrupt. These are all problems that when you're sharing large amounts of data, you don't want to have. And you may say, but that's not how we actually communicate. We put them up on our FTP. Well, FTPs have security problems. Even secure FTPs, just use the Google. And it will show you all the different ways that you can manipulate a secure FTP that it's not actually secure. These are problems for how we communicate. And I also put SOAP on here. Yes, you can write web services, and we're doing that. And we're moving to RESTful web services, and I love to see that. But the problem remains is that you still have to know both sides. There's still a lot of work. You have to have a team of developers. So we need a better solution. So what could that be? I'm going to talk real quick about distributed networks and communication fabrics. So imagine, this is going to be a stretch, but imagine if you're sitting in a crowd watching someone on a stage. But everyone in the audience, I've already approved to see my data. We've had a contract, we've agreed. Something is going on that we can share data between each other, okay? And so I come up on the stage and I say, hey, I know everything about ABC 123. It's a plate in Colorado. Ryan Ninness owns it, and I know where he lives. Then you all take out your notebooks. I see there's no notebooks. It's kind of hurting my feelings. But you take out your notebooks, and you all write that down. We all now have a contract that Ryan Ninness came up on the stage, and he told me that data, and we know where that data came from. In a communication fabric, that's exactly what's happening. People share information with other people. And it's in a way that it's open and it's point to point, and we all have the same contract, and we all know the same information. And it's kind of like in a theater where everyone knows how the play went. There's no mystery about how it's going behind the scenes. That's a very high-level description of what I'm trying to propose. Okay, I promise, I'm not going to read this slide. It's the busiest slide on earth. But I'm going to propose a new solution called toll.net. It's the next generation of communication fabric and distributed networking that the toll industry could very easily adapt. So some features of it. You get dynamic transponders. So basically everyone would report their transponders to the same place. This is not an exchange of files. This is actually asking the network to provide, I see something, where's it from? There's something called last plate scene recognition. Has anyone built this plate in the last week? That's a heck of a lot better data than going to a DMV and getting wrong data or wrong information. I'm leveraging your relationship through my networking. Public service interfaces. Wouldn't you rather, instead of just depending on bulletin boards and things like that for hot plates and Amber Alerts, that as soon as your system saw that plate, it dispatched the police to that location? Sounds pretty cool. And then, of course, we all talk about BI, and we're all out there building our own solutions, and we try to pool some of this data into Toll Miner and things like that. But at the end of the day, we still have these silos of data. If we were all on the same communication fabric, all of a sudden we have the same BI tool. Pretty interesting. And finally, instead of wire transfer after reconciliation after report, What if we had a financial service that was all blockchain based, that we all knew that this was a transaction and where it came from? So it sounds like a pipe dream, I know. But this technology does exist and it's real. And I can tell you, you won't need a programmer to do it. I know. How do you do that? So there's a design that goes into this network called an avatar. Basically, you install this software product, this avatar, and on your behalf, it joins you to the communication fabric. You define who you talk to, who you don't talk to, who doesn't talk to you, and who gives you all the information. You control it, you map it. It's all just by opt-in and organization on a website. Furthermore, you don't have to change your formats. If you like your CSV, you can keep your CSV. I know that's been a promise in the past, but it's real. You basically use a mapping tool in the avatar. It consumes the data, and then it transfers it to the network in a secure manner. So when your agency, dot, or whatever finally gets up to the point where it can absorb and join this in a real way, you already have the tool to do it. So you already practice it. You implement your own business rules. There is no agreement of business rules. There's just an agreement of format and messaging. So you use what you want, and it spits out what you want. So you can go back into whatever you can absorb. If you do have a team of developers and they don't look busy, you can have them do JSON or consume these methods directly. But the avatar does all the work for you. It's what the adoption myth has always been. So when I say, is it possible? Yes, it's not the technology of tomorrow, it's the technology of today. And I personally have written it for 2 other industries. So the first one was about 10 years ago for mortgage industry. It was the first time that we started doing automated underwriting. Now you can get a mortgage decision in 8 seconds. It's not your lender. It's actually the machine telling you if you get passed or not. The second time was in medical. So in ambulances, we started a fleet of ambulances, and they would communicate to the hospitals. They didn't know which hospital they were going to go to because they didn't know the symptoms until halfway through the transport. It broadcasted, decided a winner, and actually started the STEMI labs ahead of them actually arriving in the bay. 30 minutes in a stroke is life-saving. So I know that if we group together, there's ways that we can share data and get ourselves up off the flat files. So our data needs are changing. We have to approach in a new way. I'm not saying this is the one, but just wanted to get the discussion out there so we can move on to new stuff. And that's it.